I adjusted the worn work gloves, carefully pruning the prized rose bushes outside Pine Valley Country Club. For 3 weeks I'd maintain my cover as their new gardener, watching the same people who'd banned me now stroll past without a second glance. The hedges need trimming near the 10th hole. My mother's voice carried across the manicured lawn as she led her weekly garden committee meeting. The help simply isn't maintaining standards anymore. If she only knew that the help was her daughter, the one they'd expelled from membership last year for being unsuitably focused on business matters, instead of proper social obligations. The new buyer better maintain our standards, someone commented. We can't have Pine Valley becoming common. I hid my smile behind the wide brim of my gardener's hat. They still had no idea who'd won the bidding war for their precious club. My phone buzzed silently in my pocket. Another update from my real office about the acquisition paperwork. The final contracts were ready for signing. Did you hear about Catherine? My mother asked her friends. Still playing with that golf resort project out west. As if she could ever understand proper club management. I kept pruning, remembering the day they'd revoked my membership. I'd just closed my first major resort acquisition, but instead of congratulations, they declared my business focus unsuitable for Pine Valley's social standards. Now my resort company owned 15 of the world's top golf properties. And tomorrow we'd own Pine Valley too. The garden staff needs better supervision, my mother declared, sweeping past my workstation. These roses aren't up to standard. I carefully deadhead another bloom, using techniques I'd learned designing award-winning gardens at my other properties. The roses had never looked better, but she'd never admit that. At least we maintained standards by removing certain members, her friend Susan sniffed. Some people simply don't understand tradition. My phone vibrated again. Final walkthrough scheduled for 3 p.m. Board expects new owner representative. Perfect timing. I'd been planning my reveal carefully. The chairman wants all staff present for the ownership announcement, the grounds supervisor called out. Main clubhouse, 3 o'clock. I gathered my tools, heading to the staff room to prepare. After 3 weeks of manual labor, I'd earned the respect of the maintenance crew, the real heart of any club operation. Hey Kat, Miguel, the head groundskeeper, greeted me. He was the only one who knew my true identity. Big day, huh? Bigger than they know, I smiled, removing my work gloves. How's the crew feeling about the ownership change? Nervous, he admitted. Rich buyers usually mean staff cuts. Not this time, I assured him. I have different plans. At precisely 3, the club's elite gathered in the main hall. My mother sat in the front row, garden committee perfectly arranged around her. They'd positioned the staff along the back wall. Know your place was an unwritten Pine Valley rule. The chairman approached the podium looking nervous. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, Pine Valley has accepted a purchase offer from a major resort group. I slipped out of my gardener's uniform, revealing tailored business attire underneath. Miguel grinned, giving me a thumbs up. The new owner's representative is here to address us, the chairman continued. My mother straightened in her seat. I hope they understand our standards. Oh, I understand Pine Valley's standards perfectly, I said clearly, stepping forward and removing my hat. I've had quite the education these past 3 weeks. The room froze. My mother's face went pale. Catherine. Actually, I smiled, walking to the podium. It's Ms. Reynolds, CEO of Reynolds Resort Group. But you know that, don't you, Mother? Even if you've been calling me the help all week. The garden committee gasped. Susan dropped her designer purse. This is impossible, my mother whispered. No, I corrected her, pulling out the signed contracts. This is business. Pine Valley is now part of my resort portfolio. Though I must say, I glanced at my former gardening station. The roses have never looked better. The chairman cleared his throat. You've been working as ground staff? Market research, I explained. Best way to understand a property is from the ground up. Quite literally in this case. My phone buzzed. Transfer complete. Pine Valley officially under Reynolds management. Time to show them exactly what unsuitable business focus could accomplish. I smiled at my stunned audience. Now about those club standards we need to discuss. This is preposterous, my mother stood abruptly. The membership committee would never approve. The membership committee no longer exists, I informed her, pulling up the new organizational chart on the presentation screen. Along with several other outdated structures at Pine Valley. The crowd erupted in whispers. My mother's garden committee exchanged horrified glances. But our traditions, Susan protested weakly, will be modernized, I finished. Starting with the staff treatment policies. I turned to the workers lined against the wall. Miguel, please join me up here. As our new head of operations, you should help present the changes. My mother sank back into her chair as Miguel, the man she'd barely deigned to acknowledge for 20 years, took his place beside me at the podium. The roses aren't the only things getting an upgrade at Pine Valley, I announced. Tomorrow we begin transforming this club into a world-class resort. One that values every member of its team. The maintenance staff stood straighter, while the social elite seemed to shrink in their seats. Of course, I added with a slight smile, current members will need to reapply under our new standards. Character and contribution matter more than social status now. My mother's face had gone from pale to ashen. The garden committee clutched their pearls in unified horror. Now, I straightened my jacket. Shall we discuss those hedge standards at the 10th hole? I have some thoughts after maintaining them personally this past week. The next morning I sat in my new office, the former ladies' card room, now transformed into a modern command center for Pine Valley's renovation. The antique bridge tables had been replaced with digital displays showing real-time operations data from all my properties. Ms. Reynolds, my assistant entered. Your mother and the garden committee are here. They've been waiting in the lobby for an hour. I glanced at the security feed. They looked different today, less confident in their designer gardening attire, more uncertain in the space that had once been their domain. Give them another 15 minutes, I said, reviewing the renovation plans. Then show them up. The past 24 hours had already brought dramatic changes. The members-only signs had come down. The staff quarters were being renovated into proper break rooms. And the old membership roster had been archived, replaced by a new merit-based application system. When my mother and her committee finally entered, they found me approving designs for the new training facility, a state-of-the-art complex that would replace their precious card room. Catherine, my mother started, then stopped, taking in the transformed space. Please sit, I gestured to the modern chairs. Though you might want to check them first, I had the maintenance staff test them for comfort. You know, the people who actually work here. They perched uncertainly on the edges, looking lost without their usual air of authority. The roses, Susan burst out. Who will tend them now that you're not gardening? Miguel's team will continue their excellent work, I replied, signing off on another upgrade. Though I might still do some pruning. It's quite therapeutic after board meetings. But the garden committee, my mother began, has been dissolved, I finished. Along with the other social committees that served no practical purpose. Their faces fell as decades of social positioning evaporated. We've created a new environmental sustainability committee instead, I continued. Miguel chairs it. You're welcome to apply for membership, if you're willing to actually work with the soil, not just criticize those who do. My phone buzzed with updates. The golf pros were arriving to review the course redesign, and the new executive chef was revamping the dining program. Your father built this club, my mother said quietly. No, I corrected her. Father funded it. The staff built it, maintained it, and kept it running while the members played bridge and complained about hedge heights. My assistant appeared with more files. The Golf Digest team is here for the feature on Reynolds Resort Group's latest acquisition. Send them up, I nodded. And please bring the membership applications. Applications, the garden committee echoed. Yes, I smiled slightly. As I mentioned yesterday, all current members need to reapply. Our new standards focus on character, community contribution, and actually understanding golf. But we've been members for decades. Susan protested. And in those decades, how many times did you actually play golf? I asked. Besides posing for photos at charity tournaments? Their silence was telling. Pine Valley isn't a social club anymore, I explained. It's part of a global resort group that values skill, service, and genuine passion for the sport. And if we don't meet these new standards? My mother asked quietly. then you'll find plenty of other clubs still operating on outdated social hierarchies. I pulled up the new membership criteria on a screen. Though they might not match our facilities after the renovation. The displays showed renderings of the transformed property world-class training centers, environmental innovations and staff facilities that rivaled the member areas. "You're destroying everything we built," my mother whispered. "No," I stood, walking to the window overlooking the course. "I'm building something better. Something that honors the people who actually make this place work." My phone buzzed again. Golf Digest editor amazed by staff retention plan and training programs. "Your father would never have approved," my mother tried one last time. "Father was a businessman," I reminded her. "He would have appreciated the 300% projected return on investment." I turned back to face them. "The question is, can you adapt to a club that values substance over status?" They exchanged glances, their social world crumbling around them. "The application deadline is Friday," I said professionally. "Though given your past treatment of staff, I'd suggest including excellent reference letters." As they stood to leave, my mother paused. "The roses really did look better under your care." "Because I respected them," I replied. "And the people who taught me how to tend them properly. Something to consider while filling out your applications." After they left, I returned to the renovation plans. Below, Miguel was leading a tour for the Golf Digest team, proudly explaining our environmental initiatives. My phone lit up one final time. "Breaking. Reynolds Resort Group revolutionizes private club model, equality and excellence replace social status." I smiled, remembering my mother's words from last year. "You'll never understand proper club management." He was right. I understood something better. How to transform an outdated institution into a true community of excellence. And if the garden committee wanted to be part of that community, well, they'd better be ready to get their hands dirty, and not just in my father's old rose garden. 3 months later, Pine Valley had transformed beyond recognition. The stuffy social club had become a world-class golf resort, with professional players praising our training facilities and environmental magazines featuring our sustainable practices. I stood at my office window, watching Miguel lead a sustainability workshop, my mother and her former garden committee among the students, learning proper soil management in their new resort-branded work clothes. "Ms. Reynolds," my assistant entered, "Golf Magazine is here for the most innovative resort feature. And your father just arrived." I checked the security feed. He stood in the lobby, looking both proud and uncomfortable, the businessman in him appreciating our soaring profits, the social climber struggling with our dismantled hierarchies. "Send him up," I said, turning back to the quarterly reports. Our revenue had tripled since the acquisition. When he entered, his eyes widened at the technology-filled command center that had replaced his beloved card room. Real-time data from all Reynolds properties flowed across wall-mounted screens, while 3D models showed our ongoing improvements. "Catherine," he nodded, trying to maintain his usual authority. "Quite a change you've made." "The numbers speak for themselves," I replied, pulling up our financial dashboards. Pine Valley's profits are up 300%. Member satisfaction has increased 200%. Staff turnover is nearly zero. He studied the figures with a banker's precision. "And the social aspect? You mean the artificial hierarchies?" I smiled slightly. "Replaced with merit-based systems that actually serve our mission." My phone buzzed. Another golf champion requesting training time at our facilities. We'd become the preferred preparation site for major tournaments. "Your mother," he began, "is currently learning proper gardening techniques from our head groundskeeper," I finished, gesturing to the window. "Turns out she actually enjoys the work when she's not just criticizing others doing it." He moved to the glass, watching his wife kneel in the soil beside the staff she'd once barely acknowledged. "And the other members? Those who adapted stayed." I pulled up the new membership roster. Those who couldn't accept change found other clubs more suited to their priorities. "You've destroyed centuries of tradition," he said quietly. "No," I corrected him, "I've built something better. Something that honors skill, dedication, and genuine love for the sport." I paused. "When was the last time you actually played golf, Dad?" He flushed slightly. "The business aspects took priority." "Exactly. Pine Valley became about everything except golf. I pressed a button, bringing up more displays. Now look. The screens showed professionals training on our courses, environmental innovations drawing global acclaim, staff members advancing through our development programs. Your profits, he started, are higher than ever, I finished. Turns out excellence is good for business. Who you? My assistant appeared with more files. The Golf Channel wants to feature our training program. And Miguel's environmental initiatives just won another award. Schedule both, I nodded. And please send up the staff development reports. My father watched this exchange with new eyes, seeing not just his daughter but a successful CEO who'd transformed his social club into something far more valuable. I never thought, he began, that your business-focused daughter could understand club management? I raised an eyebrow. Or that dismantling the social hierarchy could actually improve the business. Below, my mother had moved to the Rose Garden, working alongside Miguel's team. She looked more genuine, more engaged than I'd ever seen her at her garden committee meetings. We're hosting the PGA qualification rounds next month, I mentioned casually. Interested in seeing what real golf looks like? He straightened his tie, businessman warring with social traditionalist. The other clubs are watching, you know. Wondering if your model can last. The other clubs are calling, I corrected him, pulling up my emails. Wondering if Reynolds Resort Group is interested in acquiring them too. His eyes widened at the list of prestigious names seeking our management. Turns out, I smiled slightly, excellence is contagious. And country clubs are discovering that actual golf expertise trumps social status. My phone buzzed again. Pine Valley named Most Progressive Golf Resort, Reynolds Group Revolution continues. Your membership application is still pending, I mentioned casually. Though you'll need to demonstrate actual interest in golf, not just boardroom networking. He looked out at the transformed club, at my mother learning real gardening, at professionals training on our courses, at staff members moving with pride and purpose. Perhaps, he said slowly, I could take some lessons. Learn the game properly. Miguel's son is an excellent instructor, I replied, though he expects students to carry their own clubs. After he left, I watched him walk across the grounds, seeing his old social club through new eyes. Below, my mother had dirt on her knees and a genuine smile on her face as she worked beside her former help. My phone lit up one final time. Reynolds Resort Group expands. 5 more clubs adopt progressive model. I smiled, remembering their words. You'll never understand proper club management. They were right. I understood something better. How to transform exclusivity into excellence, status into substance, and a social club into a true community of sport. And if the old guard wanted to be part of this new world, well, they'd better be ready to learn real golf, and maybe get a few grass stains on their designer clothes.